great to be here. Great to see you. Oh, there we go. We were recording. Uh, yeah. So I see some familiar faces. That it's great to see you, and other events and things we've overlapped on. Um, so as Gabriel was mentioning, my name is Jason Reiniger, and I am the director of product at Silver Lining. So I lead our sort of customer research and product design. And one thing, as I'm sure you're all well aware, is that AI is here and it is promising to save the world, end the world, all these kinds of things. There's a lot of noise around it. And it is an extraordinarily powerful tool that can help all of us. I've been really close to it in my work, and really help all of us save quite a bit of time on simple little tasks. And this is what we're going to look at today. There are things you should get help with, and there are things that you probably shouldn't get as much help with. So we'll sort of explore what that looks like, and so the way you communicate with it, right, is through something called prompting. Maybe just show of hands or emojis or something. Has anyone here talked to an AI before via chat? Yeah. Okay. I think it's pretty common. So what I'll do is I'll get into some slides, and we're just going to walk through prompting. What are different use cases you can adopt AI for that can help you effectively outsource some of your work, take a little bit of that mental load off of you, expedite certain tasks, maybe give you guidance on something where you're not an expert. As small business owners, we have to do everything, right? And so if you're working on a legal document or a financial analysis or something like that, where maybe that's not your core area of expertise, how do we communicate with these tools in order to get advice and support on those? So I will jump into it here. And of course, as we're going, if you have questions or thoughts or anything like that, you can drop them into the chat, and we'll get into it. Here, I'm just going to take over the screen. Sorry, Gabriel, I'm seeing something that says you cannot start screen sharing while...
Right, try again.
Okay. Turn it off, turn it back on. There we go. All right, excellent. Here we go. So like I mentioned, AI is an extraordinarily powerful tool. They're using it, they're making scientific discoveries on things that have been, would have taken years to figure out, and they're getting through it in a matter of weeks. One example I have is we had to go through all of these documents that we had, and we had to change the name of one word. So we had to go through, find this one word everywhere, in like hundreds of pages of documents, and change it to another word. This probably would have taken someone, if they were just manually doing it, going through, reading, finding, really, I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe, depending on how much free time they had with all the other stuff they have going on. And they finished it in 15 minutes. So stuff like that is an incredible opportunity for us to all save time in the work that we're doing every day. So we're going to go through prompting. How do we talk to these tools in specific situations to be able to get the best advice from them? Because we've all heard of hallucination, and sometimes they make things up, or they just nosedive on a task and get lost in a corner somewhere. So we're going to work on avoiding that. Excuse me. So I'm going to also mention that starting something called the Silver Lab, we are looking at and starting to build out tools inside of Slap Center that are AI based to help generate campaigns, and help complete tasks, analyze information. So you'll start to see that kind of stuff coming out. So we're going to be running the Silver Lab, which is sort of just ongoing feedback from people to help build these tools, leverage this AI for small businesses all over the world. So you'll have an opportunity to get involved in that lab and have your say and share your feedback if you'd like to at the end. So prompts. Let's talk about prompts. Why do prompts matter? So one common way to think of an AI is effectively like an intern. You have a kind of an army of little interns. I'm sure there's moments where we've all thought, I wish I had an intern. Now you sort of do. They just live inside your computer. But like any intern or someone who's new and eager, they need detailed instructions in order to produce a useful output. The benefit of these interns is they have like a 300 IQ and access to all knowledge that's ever been produced. So that's great. And how we communicate with them, how we prompt with them, uh, it determines what they're going to give us back. So your prompts are your instructions, right? Here's your guidelines, your roadmap for going and getting me and generating the output that I want. So a good prompt can create real business value, right? You can save time, you can find ways to grow revenue, you can reduce stress by just offloading some of these things, or even just I find if I'm blocked on something, I'm staring at my screen and I don't know where to start, I'll just start talking to it and say, give me some ideas, get me going. And a bad prompt can be worse. You can end up getting things you don't need, collecting information that is going to take you maybe in the wrong direction, and that's not great. One like thing to be mindful of too is that the AIs, this is part of what they do psychologically to help create like a more positive relationship with the product. Kind of no matter what you say, it says, "Oh, great idea, good job, that's a wonderful idea, that's fascinating." It gives you all of this stuff, so do be mindful to try to look past that and don't let it hype you up too much and remain thinking critically as you're going through. So prompts, go a little bit higher level to understand how prompts are important. So LLMs, we've probably all heard this around the world now. This is large language models, and these are things out there. Saw the hands. Everyone's talked to an AI in some capacity. ChatGPT is the most likely, and then there's Claude. There's Gemini, which is Google's series of models. There's DeepSeek, which was big in the news a few months back, out of China. There's Llama, which is sort of like Facebook and Meta's version of it. And there's a company called Mistral out of France. And these are effectively the core, like the main players in the game. You can use all of them for free. In a very effective capacity, right? And as they release new models, the one that was $20 a month 2 months ago is kind of now their free one, and then they've boosted up to more premium versions. But they're all more than capable of helping you with most tasks. And how these effectively work is they are trained on mass quantities of data, legally or illegally sourced in many cases that have been shown and controversial, but trained on mass quantities of data. Their objective is to ingest basically all information that's ever been written down and digitized anywhere. And they have that. So they're sitting on top of all of that behind your little chat window. And it's effectively just a tool for predicting outputs. So from all that knowledge, based on what you say to it, it makes a prediction on what the next piece of text should be. So it starts looking, finds out a direction to go, and then based on what it starts writing, it's referencing all of that knowledge, and it predicts what it should say next, what it should say next, what it should say next. So it's kind of just taking patterns and formulating the next thing to say. And this is where hallucinations can come in. If it takes a wrong turn, then based on that wrong turn, it predicts the next thing it's going to say and the next thing it's going to say. And maybe it's only off by a couple of degrees, but over a longer period, that's going to take you way off course. So that's sort of where hallucination comes. Good prompting is effectively a structure for these LLMs to focus on the right area of the knowledge base and deliver the feedback with more accurate predictions. So overwhelm, like, I don't know, maybe I look at AI more than the average person. I for sure do, but this is what all of my internet ads and stuff do. And on Instagram, I just see all of this stuff. There's all these tools everywhere. And effectively, all of these tools, these AI tools that are out there, are just an interface, a specialized interface with, and it's probably plugged into ChatGPT or Claude or one of these other models that we've mentioned. Very few people are actually building these models. When you think of the computing power that's needed, it costs like millions and millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. So all of these tools that are out there are just some sort of specialized layer over top of, like, let's say a ChatGPT model. It's effectively just a super prompt over top of ChatGPT. So we can get what we need largely just from the core tools, if we know how to speak to them correctly. So what's the anatomy of, let's say, a good prompt? This is maybe something some of you have come across already, but you want to give context or a role. So you have this intern, this super intern, and they can sort of become anyone you want them to become, right? So ChatGPT, I think a lot of these examples are with a jewelry maker in Etsy here. So who should they think like, right? Act as a jewelry marketing expert. A lot of times I'll use it to generate little bits of software or prototypes or things like that. So I'll say, as a software engineering expert. Or you can even ask it, if I'm doing this type of project, let's say I'm launching a podcast, you can start to ask, who are all the types of people that would be involved in that? And it'll give you a list. And then you can take those people and say, okay, as a team consisting of the 5 roles that they just mentioned, a copywriter, a marketer, an audio engineer, a video editor, create for me a plan of how to launch this podcast. So you can tell it to be whoever you need it to be, and that's useful. It helps it orient its thinking, and when it dives into the knowledge, it's going to start looking specifically at information that a jewelry marketing expert would have. It would go to marketing and then it would filter down into jewelry. So that starts weeding out unnecessary information that could eke its way into the result and cause it to give you answers that are less useful. And then a task. Again, specificity is key here, right? So write a listing description for my handmade silver bracelet. And I'll go into an example. We'll jump into like ChatGPT in a minute, and we'll look at the difference between just kind of a simple prompt or a more complex one and how that yields sort of a different result. So you want to say, who are you? What do I need you to do as that person or as that role? And constraints. What do they need to remember? Optimize for Etsy SEO. It has to be under 200 words. You want it to have a friendly tone. You can put other context in here too. I'll show an example where you'll say, like in Slack, we all have our ideal client, right? So you can say, here's my ideal client. And my goal is to sell whatever 300 units of this jewelry over the holiday season, the Christmas season coming up. So you can give it those constraints and it'll again start fine-tuning the way it's thinking about things. It'll start going in and referencing successful holiday campaigns. It'll go and look for Etsy keywords, and then it'll figure a way to get this all under 200 words with a friendly tone. So the more direct instructions you give, the more you're kind of sharpening the edges or the angle of the filter to focus it on getting you exactly what you need. So there are different styles of prompts that you might want to deploy for different use cases. So if we look at this, here's just a handful. If you get really, really into the weeds, there's like, I don't know, 25, 30 different kinds of prompts that I've seen. But zero shot is just a simple question. This is kind of how I use Google now. It gives you the little Gemini result at the top now, where it used to just list the things. So this is more kind of Google, and you'll see this, write a jewelry product description. If you're doing simple things, I don't know, I'll ask like, what's like the square root of 500 or whatever, like, you know, just simple little questions where the process and the thinking aren't, and it's sort of an objective result. then that's more suitable. There's something called few shot. So you can ask it to work in steps, right? So you can say, give me two examples of a successful Etsy listing. So you can sort of know that it's thinking in the right way, and then say, then ask the AI to mimic those examples. So you get it thinking in steps. And like any of us, like how a human would think, when the more complicated tasks are broken down into steps, it's more likely to get done than just giving it a very complicated single question. You have chain of thought, and this can be used to help like validate your thinking on something. So walk me through the steps of launching a Mother's Day promotion. So if you've kind of maybe got a plan already, you can ask it to provide you step-by-step details on how it would do this, and you can start to reference it against what you've done and check for gaps in maybe your thinking. And this is something that I do quite a bit. And this is kind of how the new campaigns AI feature will work. And then persona, this ties in a little bit to the context we were talking about before. But what hat or hats do you want it to wear while it's executing this task for you or doing this research for you? So you can say you are a small business accountant. With things like finance or even your marketing, good context as well is to constrain it in a region. So let's say you are in Atlanta, Georgia. You're a small business accountant in Atlanta, Georgia. Now it's going to start going and finding more specific um, region-based rules and looking at government websites in that area, checking local blogs from accountants in that area that are reputable, and start pulling out more specific context. So that's a really important one too, is your actual geography, for things like marketing, for things like specifically, especially finance. There's going to be, or legal, anything legal, there's going to be a important nuance based on where you're located. And to avoid hallucinating, like we talked about, the more specific you're able to become, the less likely it is to make a wrong assumption somewhere and then head off in the wrong direction. So be very explicit. Let's say you want it to analyze a spreadsheet. You upload the spreadsheet, you put in your prompt, and you would say something like, use only this spreadsheet. Make sure it doesn't go off looking for other information. Sometimes like it has a bit of a memory as well. Um, Even if you're just using a free account, it'll pick up on patterns and things. Like, so I've gamed this out with a couple of coworkers. Well, they'll go on their account, I'll go on my account, we'll type in the same thing, and you'll start to get a little bit of a different result, or even with different language. Someone lives in a different country, because it starts to learn or assume things that are important to you. So sometimes in that case, I'll say, use no memory, forget all of your history, use only this spreadsheet, and then give it the prompt, just to make sure that it's not pulling in information for something you were just playing around with that actually isn't meaningful, and thinking that that matters to you. You can ask for reasoning steps for important things. So this is something I'll do a lot, is I'll say, first, list out the steps of your approach to solving this problem, show me the plan, and then when I say it's good, then we'll proceed with it. And if you go through it, sometimes you'll find something that isn't quite right, and you can ask it to edit those things. And then when the plan looks good, you can hit go. And then use external tools for grounding. So again, more context. If you're asking it, let's say, to produce like marketing content, or you wanted to come up with like a design for an image or a logo or something like that, go around and find some that you like, feed it into it, and say, using these as inspiration, whatever, design my logo, and tell it specifically what you like about certain things. And more it has to work with, the more you can give it to know exactly what you're looking for, the closer the result you're going to get is. Uh, so why don't we go? I'm just going to exit out of here for a second. I'm going to hop into my GPT thing, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples of different prompts, um, resulting in. Sorry, there's a little background noise somewhere. All right, so we'll move on, but I'm just gonna show you a couple different examples. So I used this site, Silver Bracelet, as our product example, and I've just produced a couple of different. Here we go. Different results, right? So write a description to sell silver bracelets. So this is just very generic, asking it for a description for a silver bracelet. And we get this. I suppose I'll spare you reading all of this. But in general, the opening statement is timeless silver bracelets elevate your everyday style with our handcrafted silver bracelets designed to blend elegance and versatility. Made from high quality sterling silver, each piece shines with sleek, polished finish that complements any outfit, whether casual or formal. And it goes through some more of that. So it's pretty generic. I gave it a generic input, gave me a relatively generic output. So if I go back over here, where is it? Do, 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 do. Hold on. Back to this. Oh goodness. Okay. Here I can pull this up again. I'll take this off screen, but I gave it a much more detailed prompt. So we'll look at this. I'll just start over again. So I said something more along these lines, right? You're an Etsy e-commerce marketing expert. I get your ideal client is a 27-year-old woman living in the city center in Toronto, Canada. I live in Toronto, so that's why I chose that. She loves posting pictures with her friends on Instagram and traveling. So a little bit of insight about your client and kind of what their motivations are. You're writing a product description for this bracelet with the goal of increasing sales. So you give it a goal. Optimize the description for Etsy SEO, make it less than 200 words, use a fun and friendly tone without being cheesy. It's not very good at being cool or funny, so you give it a little bit more guidance on that. And then I just went to the page, product details below. I just simply went to this page and basically copied all the details, brought it over, dropped it in. So this is all just straight from the page. What I've also done now, the newer models are getting better at searching the internet. So I've also added just the link to the page, and I asked it to go use the link to review the page for more information. And then I provide 3 examples with slightly different directions for us to start with. So that's something I'll often do. What is going on with this guy? Sorry, it's not letting me talk to it. There we go. Just for multiple examples, and rather than just taking what it gives you, um, you can get a few different directions, and you can decide which way to go with it. So now, if we think back to our last one, was a little bit more generic. shine a little brighter with the sterling silver chain link bracelet. Your new go-to accessory for brunch dates, city strolls, or nights out with your besties. Handcrafted by the jewelry store in Canada. So this person lives in Canada, so that could be a relevant point. This piece blends boho charm with modern elegance. So it starts to get a lot more specific. It starts to try to tie it into what I've told it about the client in terms of what's important to them and what matters to them. And then you can look through and it gives you a list. These are the keywords that it picked up that'll help it show up on Etsy. And you go through and you'll see there's different versions of it. So you can take whichever one you like. Let's say I like this one. And then one thing you can do too is just highlight something and then click Ask GPT. And it'll take that sort of as context, and you can say something like, make this shorter without losing the impact of the message. And say 50 words shorter. And you can start pulling out different pieces of it. And I'm not going to count the words, but it's effectively brought the same message forward, and it's made it shorter. So you can just highlight and ask GPT, and then just start talking about sections of what it's given you. Now, one thing I'm going to show you also, I'm sure people have a concern that the information they're putting in might be getting sent back into, call it like the broader knowledge base or the hive mind of this thing. And just so you're aware, you can go in, you can go into your settings to prevent this from happening. There's one here called data controls. You can click on that, improve the model for everyone. And so you can click, so I have that turned off. That means the information that I'm giving it, the conversations we're having, are not being sent back and used to train the broader model. So that's a simple little sort of security step that you can take that prevents your content from being used to train the models. So that's just something that I do, that I recommend doing, so that anything I'm talking about isn't going back and it's not going to pop up on, one of your results or something like that. So just in settings and data control, and all of the models have a feature like that you're able to access. So anyway, we'll come back to this, but you can see how this prompt, we gave it context and a persona. So this is who you are. We gave it more constraints around information about who they're talking to. We told it what it's doing and kind of what its goal is. And we gave it some more guidance to optimize it for SEO, make it less than 200 words, etc. And then we've given it all this detail. And then I've been including links to pages if it's relevant, because the newer models, like I said, are going out and they won't look at that page and pull information off of it. And we get a much more specific and definitely more likely to catch the right person's attention version of this output. So we'll go back into presenter mode, and we'll keep looking. So we'll just explore like kind of a handful of other use cases here. When we're looking at sort of expenses. So let's say I'm the store owner. My problem is that all of my sort of fees and costs and materials are sort of all over the place. Maybe I have that in a spreadsheet and I'm not sure what to do with it. But you can give it these simple instructions, right? Act as a bookkeeper. So you want it to be a bookkeeper. From this CSV of my expenses, group the costs into materials, shipping, Etsy fees, marketing, and flag anything unusual. Um, and it's going to go ahead and probably create like sort of a new spreadsheet, a new CSV file with all of those things grouped. Uh, I'd be willing to bet that it'll get probably 90% of them in the right groupings. So this is where you want to go back through and review and give it like the human eye test to make sure that it's doing the right thing, right? Do not blindly trust it specifically with financial stuff. I've had a few situations where I've loaded in spreadsheets. I've asked it to give me sort of a report or a chart, and I roughly know what the chart would look like. Uh, it should be going this way, and it goes this way. And I keep talking to it, and it just keeps giving me the wrong thing. So there are some times where you're going to maybe have to just scrap what you started with and go back to the drawing board, try maybe a new prompt or a new approach. But this is the type of thing that'll get it started and get it going. Um, another point too with more complicated tasks is don't ask it to do like 10 things at once. Again, like small, simple steps. Um, so ask it to group costs into materials, flag anything unusual. So get it to do that first. And then if you have something else you want done, do that next. And then just go step by step. Don't overload it with like 10 tasks you want to do at the same time. Small, easy, digestible steps. It's like you're talking to a person, really. Just give clear written communication to this person. So if you want, you can look into sales trends and pricing. Maybe you have all this data on what you're selling and you're not sure what's profitable. So you can give it something like this. You're a financial analyst using my Etsy sales CSV, calculate profit margin for each jewelry type, rings, bracelets, earrings, and show the top 3 products with the best margin. Now in your slap, you should already know this, but something that's useful to point out here and a couple things just to look at the anatomy of this one. Again, you give the context, you are a financial analyst and you're specific about what like document you want it to be pulling from using my Etsy sales CSV. You're giving it instructions on what you want it to do, calculate profit margin for each jewelry type. And then you also mention what those jewelry types are and show the top 3 products with best margin. So what you can do, sometimes if I'm asking it a question about a spreadsheet, I'll specifically name the title of like the columns that I want it to look at, just so it knows when it gets into that document exactly where to look and exactly what to do. Market discovery. So which jewelry trends are rising? So a prompt might be act as a market researcher. Again, this character that you want it to play or the skill set you wanted to go into this task with. Summarize the top 5 trending jewelry styles on Etsy in the past 3 months, and then show examples, average price, and keywords. So it will go and it will do this. Another thing you can do though is maybe you can give it explicit instructions. Let's say there's a website that shows Etsy trends. It's getting smart enough where it probably will go look there anyways, but you can be really explicit. You can say, summarize top 5 jewelry styles from Etsy trends, and then give it the link to that place where you want it to go look and say, go look here and tell me the top 5. And just really focus on giving it explicit instructions on where you want it to go and what you want it to do. And in the case where you're not sure, you can do a little bit of research beforehand and say, okay, like I want to understand what the trends are on Etsy. Can you please, I say please and thank you, I'm Canadian, but can you please show me 5 sites where I can easily find what all the trends are on Etsy. And then you can go look at those and do a little bit of your own filtering to say, okay, this one looks legit. This one's kind of weird. And then you can choose the one you want. Say, okay, using this site, pull down the top 5 trends. So it's on you a little bit just to sniff out uh, where the quality information is, but you can get it to help you know, give you a list of places where you can go check and validate that information. If we look at marketing and branding, problem writing fresh product descriptions with SEO titles, Instagram captions. You could say, okay, here are 2 of my current product listings. You want to try to boost things, do maybe a little bit of a test. You've had this one running for a couple months. I want to try and refresh it to see if it works better. So here are my 2 of my current product listings. You place those in or attach those. Write 5 SEO optimized Etsy titles and 3 Instagram captions, highlighting craftsmanship and gift giving. So whatever your specifications are, um, this is something I would say that is a really great use case. I don't know. For me, I hate writing copy. I don't, for some reason, I'm not. I struggle making things sound clean and fresh. And this will tap into like best practice. And if you've given it some of your listings, you can start to play with it then and give it the instructions, make it a little friendlier, make it like, don't try to be funny, whatever you want it to do. And it'll start to, it's like a phenomenal brainstorming companion, if anything else. Uh, New customer discovery. So you feel stuck, kind of like maybe selling to the same audience. So you can tell it, okay, now you're a growth strategist. And if you don't know that a growth strategist is what you need, or you're looking for a more specific name to give it, start with that, right? Start saying, you can start with one of those kind of multi-step prompts and saying, I feel stuck selling to the same audience. Who are give me a list of like maybe the 5 types of people that I would talk to that would help a jewelry store on Etsy reach new customers. And then it would give you some suggestions, and you can kind of pick, okay, this is the right person I would want to talk to. And then you can say, okay, as the growth strategist, suggest 3 new customer segments for my jewelry. And then on this one, you'll see give reasons and example messages. That can be really useful of not just falling into running blind. Ask it to provide justification afterwards of why that's what it said. And it allows you, one, to see if that even makes sense. Sometimes you'll read that and be like, okay, I don't really feel like that's a sensible sort of approach. And it also helps you understand, and it's like incredible for learning about how things go. And especially as a small business owner, like I talked about earlier, you need to do so many things that you're not aren't your innate, your beginning skill set. If I'm a jewelry maker, now I have to be, an accountant and a lawyer and all these other things for myself that just are outside of my area of expertise. But I can use this to start learning as I'm going, how and why these things work to increase my skill set as a business owner as well. All right. And then prompt library. So this is something that you can and should do. Create a Word document or a Google Doc, wherever you keep your writing. And for key tasks, maybe there's a report you want it to generate on a monthly basis or something like that. Keep working out your prompt. So keep it in this document. Don't write a new one every time. And have it grow. So as you are talking to it and you realize there's a different piece of context or a different constraint you want to give it, you can update your document. And you can end up with for some complicated tasks. I've gone off and pre-produced, like, I don't know, 5 different documents that are, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 pages each. And that serves as the context for it. So I'm not saying you need it to be that long, but you should keep these going in a prompt library. You can have some for finance, some for marketing, some for ops, whatever you need it for. Um, and keep them as a tool, not just something you come in and every day you write new things. For important tasks, you can go keep these there. It makes it a little quicker for you. You can just come copy and paste it and drop it in. A lot of times, like if you have a paid version of these, they'll have a tool where you can sort of create what's called a project, and you can give it specific instructions so that anytime you have a chat within that project, it sort of holds all that context for you. So if you have a paid account, you can do that. I know that ChatGPT and Claude um, through Anthropic, they have those. So that's something you do to like keep context in one place. Um, but yeah, keep these documents going, uh, and just keep updating them as you find out things, as you tweak it and you get a better result that's close to what you're looking for. Make that update to your original prompt, update it in your prompt library, and you've got these tools sitting there. I think one thing that I've learned with AI is sometimes when you get going, I don't know, for me it's kind of like a slot machine. Like you type in, you get all this information, you start going really fast with it. um, but it's really important to slow down a little bit, right, and take a minute to get your instructions right for important tasks. um, and having this library helps you just sort of groom that, nurture that, and grow it over time, so that you can consistently be giving good inputs to get the outputs that you're looking for. Um, it's like slap, right? You create your plan. You put a lot of effort into thinking through and coordinating your plan, and then following that is going to give you the right results, right? And it's like this too. It's like anything. Um, the more thoughtful you can be and the more detailed you can be for important things, the better the result you're going to get out the other side is. So, with that said, do we have anyone that has maybe just any like questions? Yeah, do we have questions? I see some activity in the chat. Um, do, 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 do.
I have a question.
Yeah, okay.
This is Tashara Earl. I'm off camera at the moment. My
Okay, okay.
question is in regards to going back to like asking for it to become like an expert as a software engineer. I've tried
Yeah.
that and I get a little lost in it. I'm actually currently trying to create an MVP. Like I have a
Okay.
digital prototype of what I'm building and I'm just a little lost on like the best way to do it versus like how I just said become a software engineer expert to help me to develop a marketplace that helps to recommend products. I don't know what to do with it after that. Like once I get the code, it's kind of hard for me to know like what are the next steps. Do I just ask for it to tell me what the next steps are? And then how do I keep track of that?
That's the thing. Yeah, you kind of can ask it. So just so I understand your situation, you sort of have a prototype or a design or something like that already?
I have a design
Okay.
currently, and then I also do have a website that I've created an MVP, but it's not an app. And I'm looking to do an
Okay.
app.
Okay. Um, well, not to I don't want to take everyone's time, but that is literally what I do all day. So I can give you a really detailed and specific answer. Um, so what I would do real quick, so this is Claude. It's just another tool I use from Anthropic. Um, so what I would do is typically I'll say, what are you using to try to write the code? Do you have a specific tool you're using?
I have Chat GPT, but
GPT?
I have Claude as well. I haven't used
Okay.
Claude yet.
So what I would probably do is go in and say, okay, you are a master software engineer. Um, maybe like help me create the um, plan to build a prototype for a say mobile app. I'd say maybe like the goal of the app is the target customer is um, and then I would say maybe some of like the features, right? Or if you have a design and you say, okay, let's say on the discover page, um, people need to be able to search, uh, find details about specific programs, etc. Go through maybe each page, whatever it might be, uh, give it that level of detail. And then I'll usually get it before it spits out the plan. I'll usually get it to tell me like, um, anyway, this is going to be a bad version of it because there's not real information here, but I would get it to tell me um, something along the lines of like, what are your, uh, walk me through the approach for building this or something like that. And then get it to walk me through the approach. It'll lay it out. And then what I'll usually do is I'll then ask it to create it'll know what this means, PRD, but that's product requirements document. Um, anyway, here, maybe I'll just send you an email, or we can hop on a different call. But I know exactly how to do this. I've built a few apps, and I don't know how to code just using this. Anyway, it'll start to give you this. So you really just want to start generating a lot of the terms or the documents that it would need. So this starts to become technical context that it needs. Anyway, I've given it no information, but you can do that. And then you could even start and say, I want to use AI to build a mobile app. I do not know where to start. What are the steps that I can take to use AI to generate a mobile app? And then I'll even sometimes say, let's say using Claude. Sometimes I'll tell it which is currently building that thing. You give it that, and then it'll just give you the list. That's the thing with this is like anytime you feel stuck, you just ask it what you're stuck about, and then it can help walk you through it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
super helpful. If you could drop your email in there, I can check in with you. But yes, this is helpful. Thank you.
for sure, no problem. I'll just drop it in chat. There you go. But yeah, you just ask it what to do, and then you just keep going and going and going. This is one of those examples where I built apps where I end up spitting out this kind of thing, like 5 or 6 documents that are a dozen or 2 dozen pages long as the context, and then I give it that and say, okay, with all of this, build the prototype for me. But yeah, we can chat and I can show you how to do that for sure.
Thank you.
No problem. But that's a good point that came up there is like, if you feel stuck, you're like, how do I use AI to do X? Ask it. Say, teach me, walk me through the steps, create a step-by-step guide. And then if it still feels complicated, you can just say, make it more simple, or explain it to me as if I've never heard of any of this before. And then it'll break it down more simply for you. Yeah, so that's great. I think I saw another hand.
Yes,
Miss
Shakima
Shakima
has a hand.
York.
Yes.
Real quick, I'm sorry I came in late.
I'm trying to build a spreadsheet for my cost of goods sold. And I'm using ChatGPT and I have the paid version, like the $20 a month, but
Yeah.
it's not giving me it gives me the whole layout, but it's not giving me like the formulas for calculation. What other AIs do you suggest I use for like building spreadsheets that will give you the proper formulas, calculations? I don't know of
Um,
any AI.
Yeah, so Claude, I think you should be able to do it in here. That other one I was looking at, Claude, it's built by a company called Anthropic, and they also have free versions available, and they're pretty powerful, and they're known for being particularly good with uh like math and coding specifically.
Mhm.
So what I would do though, let's say you're um have you asked it just to like list out all
Yeah,
of the formulas?
yeah, but even like when it seems like it paused, it gets stuck, or it's
Okay.
not calculating. It'll give me the whole spreadsheet, all the cells, everything, but it's not doing the math. Like when I start plugging in my numbers, the spreadsheets are not calculating.
Oh, I see. So you want the formulas like in cells, kind of if you like as if you were building
Yeah,
it
like I need it
in
to do the math for me because I don't know it.
okay. Um so I guess my approach again, it's just an exercise of breaking it down more simply so that it knows exactly what to do. Um so if you say you had a sense of what you were wanting to learn from the chart, I'd say okay, as a financial analyst, um whatever. Create a standard chart for COGS for a small business.
Is this
Maybe
Claude using?
this is ChatGPT now.
Um,
Uh, Spreadsheet outline for COGS for a business. So I'll give it that. Um, it knows that's cost of goods sold. It's making a bunch of assumptions again because I didn't give it any real information. Uh, Starting to show more data. Supporting costs, optional. Uh, do, 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 do. Okay,
right.
then.
Once it generates the spreadsheet, it does all of that for me, but it's just like a blank copy. It's not
Okay.
calculating.
So then one thing I would probably do um, is you could just ask it like I want to understand the relationship between I do find this is one of the areas I have a bit of a trickier time with this is in spreadsheets and things like that. I spent less time on that, but it is something that I find can sometimes be fraught when you're having to build spreadsheets. I want to understand the relationship between um, profit and cost of whatever packaging. Um, what is the formula you would use in maybe Google Sheet to figure that out? Um, so then it starts to give you these formulas. All right. So it starts to show you this here. Uh, and then maybe you could say, put it in a format that I can copy and paste into Google Sheets and um, give me instructions on how to do that. So then ideally, if I can't get it to do something, then I try to get it to break down for me exactly how to do it as simply as possible. So then you can just start talking to it and say, okay, so now it's giving you instructions, create a blank sheet, place the block above into the first cell. So you can just copy this, go paste it in, and then it starts to walk you through how you can do it on your own. So it's really, yeah, if it's, so sometimes, like we said at the beginning, we start with simple steps to get it to do something complex. And sometimes if it's, you're stuck on something complex, you can work backwards and ask it just to start breaking it down into simpler steps, to get you back to the point where you can reproduce that. Again, my email's there. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes over. So with that, I suppose I'll wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming. Hopefully you got something useful out of this. And we will keep doing it again. So you can leave comments, things like that, feedback, and you can tell us other things you'd like to learn in the AI area. And I'll probably try to do something like this once a month where I come in and if there's specific feedback, I can work on addressing it more pointedly. So we will let you all go.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. And please fill the poll, and I will see you in more meets every week. Thank you all for coming.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.